Mariana, we are ready.
Did you want us to turn on our videos or no?
If you would like to share your video, you can. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We have an amazing partnership with San Diego State University's nursing program, where we have students from the nursing program present the sexual health education lessons for all of our students in middle school and our fifth graders. So I am very happy to introduce two SDSU nursing students who are going to provide an overview of all of the sexual health education lessons. Chrissy and Sakia are here today from San Diego State University.
Mariana, did you want to give your introduction in Spanish?
She already did it. We're ready to go.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen if I'm able to do that. Okay. And can you guys see my screen okay?
We can see it. If you put the presentation view on, then we'll be able to see the whole screen.
Okay, so today, well, my name is Chrissy Figueroa, and today I have Zakia Dominguez with me. We are from San Diego State University School of Nursing, and we will be teaching you essentially what your children will be learning in school throughout our sexual health education.
Hi, I'm Zakia Dominguez. I'm a nursing student at SDSU. So we as SDSU nursing students partnered with Albert Einstein Middle School to teach sexual health to the students. This promotes optimal sexual health throughout their lives and also helps prevent future disease.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the California Healthy Youth Act. This act was mandated by the state of California, even during periods of distance learning, which states that comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention instruction must be taught at least once in middle school and at least once in high school, and that it must be age appropriate if taught earlier than grade 7, and instruction must align with the general provisions, which we will be discussing the topics that they will be learning throughout this curriculum. And it must be medically accurate, objective, and unbiased. And this instruction must be appropriate for use with pupils of all races, genders, sexual orientations, and ethnic and cultural backgrounds, with disabilities and English learners.
So all sexual health and HIV prevention instruction must promote understanding of sexuality as a normal part of human development, provide students with the knowledge and skills they need to develop healthy attitudes concerning adolescent growth and development, body image, gender, sexual orientation, relationships, marriage, and the family. Affirmatively or recognize that people have different sexual orientations, and when discussing or providing examples of relationships and couples shall be inclusive of same-sex relationships. Encourage a pupil, which also means student, to communicate with his or her parents, guardians, and other trusted adults about human sexuality and provide the knowledge and skills necessary to do so.
So now we will be going into the 3 R's, which are rights, respect, and responsibility. So the Advocates for Youth's Rights, Respect, and Responsibility curriculum is based on the belief that youth have the right to honest sexual health information and equitable opportunities to reach their full potential. They also deserve respect and to have their experiences be valued. And they have the responsibility to protect themselves. And society also has the responsibility to provide young people with all of the tools necessary to safeguard their sexual health.
So parent and guardian notification. Parents and guardians have the right to be notified of sexual health and HIV prevention instructions that will be held at your school site. Parents and guardians must be notified at the beginning of the school year that comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention instruction will be taking place. Notification will be given at least 14 days prior to the instruction. Curriculum materials are available for parent and guardian to preview. And you may excuse your child from instruction by providing an electronic or written request to the school.
So just reaffirming the parent and guardian rights. You do have the right to preview all sexual health and HIV prevention instructional materials, either at the school site or online. And you may do that during a parent preview, or you can arrange a one-on-one meeting with your child's teacher. And there will also be resources available for previewing this instructional materials, as mentioned a moment ago. And excusing a child from instruction, in order to do this, you need to state your request either electronically or in writing to the teacher. And California requires a passive consent, which basically means that if no opt-out note is given by the parent, the student will receive the instruction.
So the 3 R's curriculum overview. 3 R's stand for rights, respect, and responsibility. So this is aligned by national sexuality education standards. Oops, you went to the next one. Okay. California Education Code. There are 3 lessons for each grade for the spring semester. They are taught by us SDSU students. Activities and skills-based instructions are given, and sometimes homework is assigned to some of the lessons as well.
So now I'll be going into the 6th grade sexual health curriculum overview. So these are the lesson sequences that we have planned for 6th graders. Lesson 1 will be Everybody's Got Body Parts, Part 1, which will go over female anatomy. And then we have Part 2, which will review the male anatomy. And Lesson 3 will be Change is Good, Puberty and Adolescent Development. And here are the objectives for Lesson 1 and 2, Everybody's Got Body Parts, Parts 1 and 2. So the objectives are that students will be able to name female and male external and internal reproductive parts and their functions. They will be able to demonstrate a basic understanding of the menstrual cycle and demonstrate understanding of where sperm is made and how it leaves the body. And the activities for this lesson will be to review information they might have already learned in the past about reproductive anatomy by completing diagrams. But if they haven't learned that, they will learn that from this lesson and be able to complete the diagrams. And they will also be able to listen to and view the information about reproductive body parts and functions. For their homework assignment, students will listen to and view information about the menstrual cycle and sperm cycle and answer questions about what they had learned. Lesson 3, Change is Good. The objectives are that students will be able to name physical, social, cognitive, and emotional changes. So all the different kinds of changes that occur for people during puberty. They will also be able to identify age-appropriate online resources that contain medically accurate information about puberty and adolescent development. And the activities for this lesson include categorizing the physical, social, cognitive, and emotional changes that the youth go through during puberty. So the group of my colleagues who have this lesson, they kind of created a little game for them to match scenarios to different types of changes. And for homework, with a parent or guardian, students will investigate youth-friendly, age-appropriate, and medically accurate online sources that contain information on puberty and adolescent development. And here's just a little overview of the scheduling for each of the lessons, just so you know.
So just really quickly, I want to jump in on this part. For our 6th grade students, they had their first 2 lessons this week. What we do at the middle school is the notification of our sexual health curriculum and the lessons are always posted in our leadership message that goes out every 2 weeks. When we get our dates for the lessons, we post them. So these lessons or these dates were posted in our leadership message since February. And all of our lessons, every piece of information that we have for our sexual health curriculum is always posted on the AEA website. So you can go in to our website, go under sexual health education, and preview any of the lessons that will be presented to your students. Thank you.
I'm going to go over the grade 7 sexual health curriculum overview. So the lesson sequence. So there's 4 lessons in this section. Let's talk about sex, which has the communication skills for reducing sexual health risks. The second lesson, protecting your health, understanding and preventing STIs, STI prevention. The third lesson, being smart and staying safe online. And the fourth lesson is human trafficking, and that will be presented, and it's over the video by Miss Solario, sorry. Next. So lesson 1, let's talk about sex. So the objective, what students will learn after the lesson, they should be able to describe different types of communication that people use, demonstrate how to effectively use assertive communication in relationships to enforce healthy decision-making, and the activities that will be happening during the lesson. So they will reflect on what they have heard about the term sexual orientation and what they think this means. They will listen to a presentation on definitions and explanations of sexual orientation and gender identity. They will explore myths and facts about sexual orientation and gender identity. So in this lesson, their homework, students will analyze different, sorry, there's a chat box in my way, different texting scenarios, thank you, different texting scenarios, and explain why they would do these situations to make the communication clearer and easier to understand. Next. So lesson 2 is protecting your health, understanding and preventing STDs. So the objectives to learn after this lesson. So the students will define STIs and HIV, identify sexual behaviors that put people at high risk, low risk, or no risk for STIs. The activities during this lesson, they will compare and distinguish between behaviors that put people at risk for STIs, and there will be no homework associated with this lesson. So lesson 3, being smart, staying safe online. So the objectives, students will be able to describe positive aspects of online talking and messaging, identify examples of flirting and chatting that may be inappropriate or risky, demonstrate an understanding of how to deal with uncomfortable situations when communicating online, the activities associated with this lesson during class. They will watch a video of teens sharing experiences of online interactions and engage students in discussion. Take 3 student handbooks. Give real life scenarios and have students share the positives and negatives and give feedback. Internet traffic light safety handbook handout will also be filled out. And there will be no homework associated with this lesson. Next. So lesson 4 is the last lesson in this category, human trafficking, which is taught by Miss Solario, and she will have a presentation and video.
Yeah, so this presentation and video will also be included on our website. We have trained our middle school staff already on the signs of human trafficking, and this is something that is taught to our staff and our students every year, and it just goes over signs to look out for if we suspect that a student is engaged in human trafficking. At the middle school level, we don't see this. It's not very common for us to see this, but it's all about bringing awareness to this topic, especially here in San Diego. So that's really what it is bringing awareness to this topic. And this topic, just like the SDSU nursing students said, it's only for 7th and 8th graders. 6th graders do not get a presentation on human trafficking. But if there are any questions about what's part of the presentation, please feel free to contact me.
And this is just an overview of lessons, the links provided so you can access and view the lessons and the dates that the lessons will be given. Next.
And now we'll be going over the 8th grade curriculum. So here is the lesson sequence. Lesson 1 will be covering sexual decision-making, discussing decision-making skills to avoid high-risk activities. Lesson 2 will be going over talking without speaking, the role of texting in relationships, and how to have good communication skills. Lesson 3 will be going over birth control basics, including contraception, including abstinence and FDA-approved methods. And lesson 4 will be the same as in 7th grade, which is human trafficking presentation and video taught by Ms. Solorio. So here's lesson 1, sexual decision making. And the objectives below, students will be able to identify various reasons why teens choose to engage or not to engage in sexual behaviors. They will identify at least 3 questions whose answers can help determine if they are ready to engage in sexual behavior with a partner. And they will be able to articulate a message about sexual boundaries with a partner during a roleplay activity and reflect on their own feelings about rape and sexual abuse. Activities will include a freeze frame roleplay scenario and open discussion about how the scenarios made the students feel. And there will be no homework for this lesson. Lesson 2 is, let me move this, let's see. Talking without speaking, the roles of texting in relationships. Objectives include that students will be able to name at least one thing they do and don't like about communicating via text, and identify at least 2 ways in which people can miscommunicate via text and the impact that these miscommunications might have on their relationships. They will also be able to explain one way of texting clearly and respectfully with another person in an effort to avoid misunderstandings. So activities for this lesson include a brainstorm activity, have students identify different forms of social media as well as communication, and presentation displays different communication scenarios, and students will assess and discuss each scenario with a worksheet handout. For homework, students will be completing a self-assessment of their own cell phone use with specific focus on communicating via text. Lesson 3 is on birth control basics. So the objectives include that students will be able to describe the impact and correct and consistent use of birth control. They will be able to reflect on the reasons why people would even want to use birth control and define emergency contraception and be able to know when and how it is used. Activities include reflecting on future goals and why delaying sexual activity and delaying pregnancy might help them reach these goals. And then discussing requirements for parenthood to demonstrate the importance of safe sex, just to kind of emphasize the fact that they should wait until they're ready. You will also learn about a variety of FDA birth control methods recommended for young adults and their efficacy if used correctly and consistently. And they will also organize the types of birth control into categories depending on how they are used. For homework, they will brainstorm one question or belief they have about birth control to discuss with their parent or a caregiver. And lesson 4, like I said, it's the same as for 7th graders. So it will be about human trafficking, and this will be taught by Ms. Solorio through presentation and video. And here is a schedule of when they will be receiving each of these lessons for your knowledge. And that concludes our presentation. So now if there's any questions, we could take them.
I wanted to share something really quickly. If you are a parent who is, very comfortable having your 7th grader, for example, listen to the presentation about STDs and all the other information, but you aren't quite ready for your student to hear the human trafficking presentation, you can always pick and choose which presentations you want your child to participate in. So just know that we are a partnership with all of our families. So if there are any topics that you would prefer for your student to not listen to or to just not participate in that certain lesson, the exclusion form that I have created makes it easy for you to communicate with me which presentations you want your student to be a part of and which you don't. That exclusion form is only filled out if you do not want your student to participate in the lesson. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. And the link for that form is included in our leadership message that's been sent out since February. But again, if there are any questions about any of the things that are presented in the classroom, please reach out to me or reach out to Mr. Traka so that we can answer all of the questions that you have. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you can unmute, or you can type them in the chat, or you can use the question and answer feature on the Zoom.
And Monica, we had somebody ask in the chat that they found the website for the curriculum, but where do they find the topics or the schedule of the topics again?
So the schedule of the topics is what we shared with you in this presentation, but I'll double check to make sure that it's on there. If not, I can also email you directly with the schedule of when the topics are taught at what time, at which date. I'll make sure that it's updated too.
Also see a question for 6th grade. It will be homework on the 3 lessons will it be graded?
No, none of this information is graded at all. It's more about information sharing. So there isn't anything that's graded. And then there was another question about handouts for 6th grade and an overview of topics. Any handouts that are provided to our students are on the website. But thank you for providing your email there so that I can email that to you directly. I will also include my email in the chat box so that you can email me directly if there are any other questions from this presentation or any questions specifically about the topics or anything that you see as part of our curriculum. If there aren't any other questions, I really appreciate everybody's time today to listen about what is part of our sexual health education curriculum. Again, like I mentioned before, it's a really nice partnership that we have with SDSU, but also we rely a lot on parents, and ultimately it is your choice and you're the primary educator with this topic for your students. So if there's anything that we can do to support you and support your student, please reach out to us. And also any feedback that you hear from your students. We've already received a couple of just some good feedback from students that have started the lessons that we're going to take into consideration for next year. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And again, please reach out if there's anything that we can do to support your student here at school. Andrea, we are ready to end the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.